All right, welcome to episode 7 of the Potato Aim podcast from Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. I'm Odin's Beard 43. You can follow me at on Twitter at Odin's Beard 43, Instagram Odin's Beard 43, and go hit that follow button on my Twitch Odin's Beard 43. I'm halfway to affiliate.
What's up, everybody? I'm Raven F. You can follow me on Twitch at Raven F, as well as Twitter and Instagram at Raven F.
I'm Bumpy Rug. You can follow me at twitch.tv/BumpyRug. You can follow me on Instagram at BumpyRug and Twitter at RugBumpy.
Apparently, he's no longer a 12-year-old that's forced to do this against his will.
I'll be nice this time.
The chain's still there. Also, if you haven't yet, go and follow like us on Facebook, Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. We post pretty much every time we go to stream, and we post when the new episodes are out. We share those on there. So I know last week we announced the start of two new podcasts. Both will be recorded and posted next week. The first one is Crimson Mask podcast, which will be myself, my buddy Shane, and Izzy. My buddies Shane and Izzy, I guess. This is going to be a wrestling podcast. We have a wrestling promotion near us that we have very good friends that are wrestlers for, and once a month for now, it might end up being every couple weeks or so, we are going to have one of the wrestlers on, and we're going to do more of an interview style. And we're super excited to be able to talk to some of these indie guys and try to get their name out there a little bit more. But will also be talking about like WWE, AEW, and JPW, all the W's. But yeah, we're really excited to get this started, and next week will be the first episode.
Along with that, we are bringing Off Tackle Podcast, which is going to be focused around NFL, with the NFL training camps and everything coming up. Preseason starting in, 3 weeks? 4 weeks? Something like that. I can't remember the exact date, like August 6th? I can't remember.
I think it's 28 days, if I remember correctly.
8 days till preseason?
Yeah, for the Bears at least.
So anyway, we'll be bringing you a podcast breaking down the season as the season goes on, and then before the season starts, we'll be doing our predictions, going over each division. I'll be covering the AFC with my particular thoughts. Odin's Beard will be covering the NFC.
Go Bears.
I promise I won't be too much of a homer for the Ravens because nobody likes a homer.
I can make no promises. Go Bears.
And I will say that I will surprise some people with my predictions for the AFC North. I'm just going to throw that out there. But yes, tune in. We'll be doing that on Fridays, getting that posted, and also be talking about fantasy football and things as well.
Definitely. Those will both be coming out next week, and I know training camp starts next week. So
the first NFL preseason game is the Broncos at the Falcons, August 1st at 7 p.m.
Holy shit!
So that is literally
yeah. That's coming up real quick.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks away.
That will literally be 6 days after the first episode is recorded and posted. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And we will be posting everything for both of those podcasts on the Middle of Nowhere Entertainment Facebook page also. And the same with the YouTube, Spotify, everything like that. They'll just have the title change, obviously. And if anybody has any questions with either of those or anything you guys would like to see talked about or hear talked about, put a comment on Facebook or on YouTube, or shoot one of us a message on Twitter, or add us on Twitter or whatever, and we'll try to work some stuff in there. We want to get more fan interaction going.
Sitting here trying to contain his joy right now. Just look at him. What's talking about?
Yay, sports! Yay! All the shooty hoops.
A fun fact, Bumpy used to be a professional wrestler, and I have a video of him that I might have to re-upload to the Middle of Nowhere Entertainment Facebook page.
That would be
So,
awesome.
That's
yeah.
fine.
I would love
Uh-huh.
to see.
He
That's
gets a
fine.
concussion. It's fucking amazing.
I did.
So
That's kind of why I'm like I am now.
so we're gonna get to what's going on in gaming. We're gonna make this a weekly segment with every Potato Aim podcast. We really like being able to do it. Some weeks there'll probably be a lot more to talk about than others, but we're gonna start off. We have some new Switch Lite info. Pat?
Yeah, so last week we were talking about the Switch Lite announcement and everything, and how they stated that it's going to have limited capabilities, and they're going to put on there what titles are compatible with the Switch Lite as well. Apparently, all the games that have already released will be compatible, so I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to say. But I mean, that'll be a big selling point because, like, for me, I don't have a Switch or anything. But if I honestly just want it for Pokemon and then Zelda and some of the other titles that have already been released, and it is compatible, then I could understand them doing that, and that could possibly make me want to buy it a little bit more. The only thing with it is for like the people that have the Switch already, and then are planning to get the Switch Lite. If your Switch Lite is not your primary Switch unit, you will not be able to access your digital library on the go. You'll have to have a constant internet connection for it. Now, a good thing about that is a lot of people have unlimited data on their phones, and they have the hotspots if the Switch Lite is capable to connect to the hotspot, so that's not as terrible. But one of the workarounds that I would think is to make your Switch at home your secondary, and make your Switch Lite your primary. That way you'll have access to everything on your Switch Lite constantly on the go. You'll be able to take it, and then you just leave your standard Switch model at home and go from there. And along with that, apparently they have filed a change for the patent for the Switch to change some things for the standard Switch. I guess something with the chipset in it, possibly processor. I'm not all sure. I haven't seen all the details on it, but it sounds to me like they're trying to boost the performance. Not necessarily like a Switch Pro model, but something that might make it faster, maybe memory, something along those lines. I'm not sure. I haven't seen everything again, as I said, but they are filing changes to the patent, so they'll probably be making another announcement coming here soon.
Real quick, I know we don't want to get too in depth with all this, but so the one fear that I would have with the Switch Lite, and like you said, being able to play Pokemon, awesome, and then the games that have come out, but like, what if that next Zelda game, for some reason, doesn't have it?
Right.
Like that would terrify me if I was gonna go with the Switch Lite. I would think that the games that aren't gonna be compatible are gonna be like the Skyrim or Doom. These games that are kind of getting ported into Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's my thought as well. Like maybe some of the larger third-party style games, such as like Mortal Kombat 11, if the next Call of Duty came to it, anything like that, like some of the bigger AAA third-party titles. I would hope that all their exclusives, their first-party titles, I would hope that they'll all be compatible for both, because otherwise they're just shooting themselves in the foot. So
I don't understand how they're gonna. If they say all the titles that are out now are gonna be compatible with the Lite, I don't understand how Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu are gonna work, because you actually had to use the Joy Cons to throw the Pokeball to catch it.
and that is the thing that they said too, is that there will be no motion controls. So
Okay.
Is it gonna be touchscreen? Because it could just be like Pokemon Go, where you just use your fucking finger.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that.
that's true.
I haven't seen that there will be anything like that, but
Maybe it'll
so
actually
that's
like a Pokemon game.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a damn good question though. Like I said, it said that there will be no motion controls whatsoever. So I don't know. It's
We'll have
Unless
to
they
stay
unless
up.
they have you just take the whole, like, there's a gyro in the actual system and you just like
that
kind
would,
of thing.
Yeah,
that would be cool. That could definitely help. But
we'll keep everybody updated with any new information on the Switch Lite that comes out, because that we all just came up with some really good questions on that. So, secondly, there is a big event for at least a game that used to be huge, and I still think it has an extremely big following, big competitive game. So, Bumpy, I know you love this event more than anything, so you can take this one away for the event that just came out with Overwatch.
Yeah, they well, you just told me today because I thought it was going to be in August that they came out with the summer event. Um, the summer event, I think they did it the first year when it came out around the same time as the Olympics, and they were making a big deal about it, running it coinciding with the Olympics. But they came out with a game mode that's close to Rocket League called Lucio Ball, and it's very straightforward. There's three Lucios on each team. You have a goal. It's in an arena, just like Rocket League, and there's a giant ball. You got to score. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it when I first started playing it because I wasn't a huge fan of Rocket League. I messed around with some buddies on it a couple times, but Lucio Ball is like the most fun I've had in Overwatch in a long, long time. It is the one game mode I wish that they would make consistent with all their other arcade game modes. It's very fun. I mean, you really don't have to be really good at Overwatch to play it. It's a very simplistic game. Um, it's really fun. I should really highly suggest you check it out because it's only around for this event.
Yeah, and the event does go July 16th through August 5th. There's a ton of new skins like every event they do, and new emotes and all that kind of fun stuff, all the cosmetics. And Lucio Ball and these type of game modes are pretty much the only reason I will fire up Overwatch anymore. So the other night, Raven F shot in our group text a link to a video that I never watched, and I ended up watching a different video about an hour and a half ago, maybe at most. It's an hour and a half. But I know Raven F really wants to talk about this. There was the COD gameplay, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare gameplay just came out, and I know Raven F really wanted to talk about the realism. So Raven F, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, absolutely. So, last week there was a debut for the new Modern Warfare gameplay for the mode. What is it called? Gunfight or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact name of it. But basically, it's a 2v2 mode, and it featured four very popular COD streamers. TP was the one that I watched from his stream. I only focused on his stream, but there was Courage, JD, and two others as well. I can't remember exactly who they were, and I kind of feel bad for that.
The video I watched had Chaos.
The game mode's Gunfight.
Okay, so it was Gunfight. All right. Oh, it's Legion and Pro Syndicate. Those are the four that were playing. Those were the only four that were actually playing in it. So anyway, basically with Gunfight, it's a 2v2 mode, and it spawns you with random weapons. So what was going on was for the first 3 rounds, it spawned them with like a FAMAS and a pistol, and then like stun grenades and regular frag grenades. And then after 3 rounds, it spawned them with like a pistol, a rocket launcher, and then like grenades or a claymore or whatever. And it just kept going that route, which is awesome. So there's no created classes, no custom classes or anything in that, which to me is phenomenal because it puts everybody on the same playing field. It comes down to whatever you get, you got to be able to make the best of. So the leveling up, the weapon leveling up means absolutely nothing. So it's not like you're going into a game mode where somebody has more attachments or more customization options than what you do if you're just starting out. One of the things that I noticed on there was realistic animations for a lot of different things on there. The red dot sights, when you're moving your sight around, I absolutely love that. How the actual dot on the sight, if any of you have ever actually used a sight or have used guns at all, you'll notice when you're looking at the sights, the laser or the dot on your red dot scope is moving up and down. It's not stationary on there. There's a reason why it has a battery and everything. It moves. It's not just right in the middle of your freaking reticle. So I absolutely love that. I think that's phenomenal. Yeah.
Even just the like red dot laser, not even the sight, the red dot laser. The video I was watching, the guy was just fucking trucking and going through and everything, and you just see this fucking red light going crazy on the wall and everything. I'm like, Okay, that's pretty fucking sweet, and it just brings that extra realism. Because I don't, I don't know if I don't remember them doing it in the last game that they did, but most of the time you just don't see the red dot. Like if you aren't aiming the gun or anything, or if you're not fucking hip firing, that red dot's just not there. It's not fucking waving around and shit.
If I recall on Black Ops 4, because I honestly haven't played in a while, it was just like a red laser that stuck out, and it was just stationary. Like nothing really changed with it, you know.
Yeah,
There was
and that's really cool to me.
Now a lot of people are saying that there's a lot of similarities to Rainbow Six Siege with it, and I could see that. I definitely understand why people are saying that it looks like a ripoff of Siege or whatever. But it still looks similar to like Call of Duty Ghosts. It just looks a lot better in my opinion. It looks similar to World War II, like some of the character models, like looking at their hands and things like that. It still resembles Call of Duty over the last several years. Just much better looking, much more realistic than Black Ops 4. Um, I also noticed that like when you start the game, there's a little diagram that pops up and shows you what your attachments are on a weapon. And some weapons that they had pop up had like 5 or 6 different attachments to it. One had like the flash suppressor, a red dot sight. I think it said like a extended magazine or whatever else. So I think that's phenomenal, and I can't wait to see more. So, what did you think of it, Bumpy?
I like the ability now to mantle objects. If there's a wall in front of you, you can actually lean in and out of it. I think one guy actually there was a pole and he could actually mantle on the pole. The snipers look like they hit pretty hard, like most COD games. I like the MP5's back. I like that the MP7 is back. I like that. I don't know if you picked up on it, but you could actually have a shotgun as your secondary again.
Yes.
I know a couple of CODs have done that, but I was always a big fan, and I think it was Modern Warfare 2 of running. I think it was
Spaz 12.
Overkill. Yeah, when you could run Overkill, run the Spaz 12, and then whatever primary you want. The Desert Eagle's back, hits like a truck. The just some of the small things about okay, your gun's up and ready. Well, you had that animation when you went to go throw a grenade or a flash to where your guy would actually take it, pull the pin, and throw it. Well, now you got guys pulling them off their vest, flicking the pin off with their thumb, and just launching it sideways. Your gun never goes down. I really like that because if I'm running at a guy and he's a ways out, I can throw that flash. My gun's up, so if that flash hits next to him and he takes off running, my gun's ready. I can smoke him when he comes out of cover. The muzzle thump with the RPG, I think, is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just smacking a dude in the teeth with an RPG. And then last thing I'll touch on is the new executions you can do. If you get up behind somebody and you go to melee them, your guy will actually kick his knee out and stab him straight in the side of the neck. They showed on the gameplay, I think it was Courage, he executed one of them and he wasn't even done with his animation yet. The guy's teammate comes up and executes him right off of his execution, and it was such a like smooth flow of movement in between it. There was no like, oh, got to set up for this execution. It was just like boom, execution. His buddy came in, executed him, round was over. So I like that it was running very very smoothly. I don't know if they were playing it on PC or Xbox or what,
My
Yeah,
but
guess is PC.
PlayStation.
Really?
I think they
Uh,
had controllers from what I saw.
I'm sure they were playing it on PlayStation 4 because I was looking at it and it said R1, L1, things
They
like
might
that.
have
Yeah.
had the controllers. I would be surprised if Courage was playing on PlayStation. That's the only reason that. That's the reason I said that.
Well, you got to remember that Call of Duty's had that deal with PlayStation for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to end midway through this game's um, lifespan.
Yeah,
So
so that'll probably end because I've actually got it playing in the background right now because I enjoy watching the video quite honestly because I keep finding more and more. But it definitely says R1 L1 on the corner or underneath for changing who you're spectating and everything. But who knows? Maybe they were actually playing cross-platform and we just don't know it because I'm watching TP and he plays on PlayStation. Maybe the others were playing on different system, but they don't really touch on that at all because this was a very closed thing that they gave them permission to be able to stream. They only got to play like 5 rounds. They got an hour and 20 minutes, I believe it was, total to play.
Mhm.
Uh, there are a couple of last things I want to touch on really quick before we move on. Along with that grenade thing, which I thought was absolutely awesome. The reload animations now are so much better, and the sprint animations are so much better. Like there's two different sprints. I don't know if you noticed that,
Mhm.
but one sprint, they hold their weapon down as they're like full on sprinting. Another one, they hold their weapon up high, and it's more readily available when you stop sprinting. So there's two different types of sprinting animations and two different types of sprints. I'm wondering if, like, for the full on sprint, you double click your left stick and go full sprint the fastest, or exactly how they're going to do it. It's something that I don't remember them really discussing at all. Second, when they're shooting, like especially for the pistols, if you shot before, when you're shooting, like the gun doesn't just go up in the air, like it can go side to side. Your sights get all jacked up while they're shooting. I could see the gun going to the side, to the right, up, and just twisting all over the place, which is much more realistic, especially when they're shooting rapidly. So I absolutely love those animations. I'm in love with this new engine. I cannot wait for it to come out. I will say I do have some concerns with the hit registration, because there was one snipe when they were playing on Stack, which had these containers in the middle. Like, the guy is here that he's shooting at, and the scope was over here, and it still registered that it hit. So, granted, this is pre-beta. I think it's like alpha stages right now. So they got a lot more polishing to do, and they got plenty of time. They got 3 more months before the game releases. But still, all in all, after watching the gameplay, and I've honestly watched it probably 2 or 3 times now from beginning to end, and I'm absolutely in love with it. So I cannot wait. There's going to be a beta announcement coming up, probably with the multiplayer reveal on August 2nd. I'll be getting in the beta. I'll be looking forward to it.
I did just look real quick on YouTube. Courage did post a video, and it did look like he was playing on PlayStation also. So I'm guessing it was just a PS4 kind of thing that they were able to do.
Which, if you think about it, if they were playing on PlayStation, how good is that game going to look on PC?
Yeah.
Yes. And also, like, because it wasn't the highest quality of the stream either, because when I'm watching it, like, there was a lot of different things. It wasn't at 1080p or anything. So it looked pretty damn good on the stream. So I can't even wait to see what it's going to look like on my standard PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to look fantastic as it is. And by the time they release it, they'll have graphic content updates and everything that they're going to apply to the game, so that it's fully on, ready to go. So, because they've done that every time, like with Black Ops 4 beta or with the Black Ops 3, they increase the resolution, increase the textures and everything when they release the title. So, yeah, it's going to be phenomenal in my opinion. I sure as hell hope so, because if I'm let down by this, I will never trust any game ever again.
I don't trust games after No Man's Sky.
Man, that's
and a silence falls over the crowd.
That's an entirely different episode that we could spend 2 episodes on.
But yes,
to give credit to them though, where they released that and where they're at now, the game is so much different. And I'm not giving up.
I don't remember who I've watched, but they were streaming it, and I'm like, okay, this isn't the same game that I played at launch at all, for one. But the fact that they pretty much just straight up lied about everything right off the bat, like, okay, say this is what you want it to do, that there will be patches that'll make you be able to do this kind of stuff, instead of just straight up, this is what we'll save that.
Well, see, I will also defend them in this case. A lot of people don't know that Hello Games Studios got absolutely flooded and destroyed. All their equipment got sacked by a flood.
But afterwards, they still said that their game was going to be able to do all this shit that it didn't do.
Right. They did, and then they were forced to get the game out sooner because they had already delayed it 3 times. And when you
that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what it will eventually be able to do, and everything. That's what they should have said instead.
I said I fully understand and I fully get that, but I also don't put the blame entirely on them. But again, where they've gotten to is so much better. If nobody's checked out any of the recent updates, go check it out. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So last night we tried to film this episode, and we were having some connection issues, but we did still get some time to talk about. You were lagging like fucking crazy. Don't even put the fucking air quotes up.
Here we go. Here comes the blame.
So we decided just to record this today. We still got to talking about today's topic, and I feel like I had fun last night talking to you guys, even though I only got 5 hours of sleep and had to be into freaking work.
Are Again,
I have something to say. I'll tell you guys what I wanted to say it through text. But but Raven F, you came up with this topic. I don't know if this just came off the top of your head or you'd been thinking about it for a while.
No, I honestly, I really was just thinking about it because I was sitting around and then I was talking to Bumpy. I think it was at work, wasn't it? Like, weren't you leaving or something like that? Yeah, was it Sunday?
Yeah.
That I said mentioned
Yep.
to you? Or Saturday or Sunday when we were at work, and I just said, "Hey, what about this?" And like it just popped off my head. And I don't even know why. It was just something that I thought would be interesting because everybody has their own individual stories on where they got to. Do you want to reveal the topic, or would you like me to explain?
You go ahead. You're the one that came up with it.
So, me and Bumpy were talking about on this episode, trying to figure out what we were going to talk about exactly because there was a few ideas floating around, and it just popped in my head. What got us all into gaming? What got us to where we're at? And again, like I just stated, everybody has their own story. Everybody had those few games when they were kids or teenagers, adults. Whenever you got into gaming, everybody has their own reasons, and everybody has those titles that even if they got like a .01 out of 10, you loved it for whatever reason. Whether it's because
Or
it
a
was
2 out of 10.
exactly like mine, my personal favorite game growing up, and the reason why I got into gaming, which I'll discuss here in a few minutes. So, for the comments and everything, if anybody wants to talk about or comment on what game it was that got them into gaming, or what console, or if you started watching live streams, whatever it was, like we want to know why people got into gaming and why gaming became such a big part of their lives. Make posts on our Facebook page, that Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. Just tell us, give us some feedback, give us some info. We want to know why you got into gaming.
Hell yeah. And I know all three of us started gaming at a very early age. I don't know. We actually didn't discuss this. Pat, do you want to start it, or do you want?
Yeah, I can start.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. So for me, it's a pretty standard. I was born in '89. I'm 29 years old right now. So I got the Nintendo, the original NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. I was probably, man, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. It was a little bit after the Super Nintendo came out, but that's when I got the Nintendo. And I think it was the first game that I had for it. Wasn't even Super Mario Brothers or anything, which I did end up getting. It was Legend of Cage, which a lot of people aren't familiar with that title. I don't even think you two are really familiar with it.
We had to Google it yesterday.
Yeah, you had to Google it. So I remember this. I've remembered since I was a kid. Like I can remember it very clearly playing it. So you start out, and it was kind of different from a lot of those other original Nintendo games because you don't start from left going to the right side of the screen. Instead, on the Legend of Cage, you started on the right and you started running to your left. Basically, you played as like a samurai, I guess he was, and you had like throwing stars. You had a sword that you could use. You could jump and climb up trees and jump across trees. Basically, it started off by a female getting abducted. Go figure. A lot of video games back in the day, a princess,
Damsel in distress.
Damsel in distress, exactly. Thank you. Very common for a lot of different movies, games, books, whatever else, especially from back in the day. Holy hell!
Hey, real quick, fun fact. That's how Raven F and I met. He was my damsel in distress.
Please, everybody will go the way around.
Boo.
So
that
anyway,
was fucking funny. I don't care.
So anyway, like you can complete Legend of Cage in under 15 minutes. Like not even glitching, nothing like that, but you could complete the entire game in under 15 minutes. When I was a kid, I could never get past the second level, but I was a kid, like 5 years old. What the hell do you expect? I mean, we go back and look at some of these games that were out back in the day, and we're like, how in the hell did we play these as a kid? I can't even do shit on them now. What the fuck was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ninja Gaiden. If anybody played Ninja Gaiden on the original Nintendo, everybody hated that fucking game. They loved it, but they hated it. And I'm sure a couple of you will mention some other titles that I won't bring up at the moment. But along with The Legend of Cage, another one for me was Kirby. I can't remember the exact title. It's on the NES Classic. I still play it. I haven't played it for a little while now. I need to fire it back up because I'm kind of jonesing to play Kirby. I loved Kirby when I was a kid. It was awesome just, swallowing the enemies and becoming whatever they were, using that to your advantage. And then also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. those were the first three games that I really remember playing, other than Super Mario Brothers, and they are really what got me into gaming because I just enjoyed playing them. I enjoyed the action and everything else in it. Uh, it continued to go on from there, and I'll touch on some others in a bit. But those for me were my personal three favorites that I still to this day want to have for my collection. Like I absolutely must have them. Uh, it was weird. I think when we went to Galloping Ghost in Brookfield, I believe we started playing TMNT, didn't we? Or was that with
Yeah,
Izzy?
yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know
I
I
wasn't
played
about
most
to
of the
not
time,
be
but
I was not about to not play Ninja Turtles there. I mean, there were a
yeah,
few games, arcade games that were broke down. For some reason, and I've never been a huge fan of this style of game, but I kept going back, and I think it was had to do with the theme of it. But to pinball, they had a Creature from the Black Lagoon pinball machine, and I was hooked. I could not stop playing that fucking thing. That was that was a fun day. But
all right. So who wants to discuss theirs next? Bumpy, Odin's Beard.
I'll go.
okay,
Um, I think the first game I actually remember playing, I touched on it a little bit last night. I was like 4 or 5. My old man took me to an arcade that was in the local bowling alley, and it was Rampage. For those of you that don't know, there was a movie recently that The Rock did on it. It was these like mutated creatures. There was like an alligator, a big gorilla, and there was something else I can't remember. But
Wolf.
wolf, that's what it was.
Yeah,
You
the movie
basically
wasn't bad.
it wasn't terrible. You basically go through town and like or the city, and you just like destroy buildings, and the military shooting at you, and yada yada yada. That was the first game I ever actually played, and then shortly after that, me and my brother both got a copy of Pokemon. He got Pokemon Red, I got Pokemon Blue, and I just lost myself in that game. I think I put about 600 hours plus in. I have my original cartridge still. I mean, all my original stuff. Um, and then that's what really kicked off gaming for me. We had a Super Nintendo at my grandma's house with, oh God, I can't remember what Mario it was.
Super
Super
Mario.
Mario World. It was Super Mario World. We
That's
played the original Mario Kart on that. We played the original Dr. Mario. Like we played a bunch of old Super Nintendo games and stuff like that. I think shortly after that we got a Sega. Played a lot of Sonic. I think we had like every Sonic we could. That was my first time playing Street Fighter. I think it was Street Fighter 2 was on the Sega. Played the port of that. Um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Played that. You guys touched on that. And then we got N64. We had Super Mario 64 and GoldenEye. And I believe the first Smash Brothers that they came out with, there was only like 8 characters total.
Yep.
But ever since that, I've owned a GameCube, I've had PlayStation 2, 3, 4, Xbox 360, basically any mainstream. I still have my old like gray brick Game Boy that you can throw through a window and loot and pillage your local supermarket if you want to. Don't recommend that. That's against the law. But it, I mean, gaming's just always been a part of my life, and it's always going to be. I mean, my wife and I, we still play games to this day. My daughter's going to grow up way outplaying me in all the mainstream games that are out there because that's just what she's going to do with her life. I can already see it with how much video game stuff we do. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
For me, I started with the Super Nintendo. I remember, so I was born up in Chicago,
I'm
and I
sorry.
remember sitting at the end of my parents' bed. My uncle came and brought his Super Nintendo. I remember sitting there watching him and my dad play Super Mario World. Right after that, my dad bought the SNES because he knew I was interested in it, and me and him would play Super Mario World like crazy. To this day, that is my number one favorite game of all time. I will still go play that. I had my SNES. I thought about getting that the classic one that had all the games downloaded in it, just so I had more games. But I still have my SNES with all my games that I had. Then it was always Super Mario World, Turtles in Time. That game addicted to. I could never beat that as a kid without my dad's help. I think when I was like 16 or something, 16, 17, I plugged it back in, played it, beat it in less than an hour, and I was proud of myself. And we the other two games, and apparently my parents liked getting us Disney games because I had Aladdin, which eventually I figured out cheat codes and would be able to skip half of the fucking game after I beat it once, and I'd just be like, okay, I'm just gonna skip to the end and fucking punch in a cheat code. And for some reason, I liked fighting the snake. I'm terrified of snakes. And then the last game for SNES that I wanted to bring up, and I know we talked about it a bit last night. So to me, this is the original Dark Souls, and anybody that played it knows the same feeling. The Lion King. That game was ridiculously hard. At least when you're 5 or 6 years, 7 years old trying to fucking beat this game. I hated that game with a fucking passion. I would like throw the control. I was raging at 6 years old at fucking video games without even multiplayer and shit starting.
So I still gotta say that I don't think the game was nearly as hard as the original Ninja Gaiden. Like when you're jumping, there's no bats flying on your screen, then you jump and suddenly as soon as you start to go down towards the platform, boom, a bat spawns up. Come on now, that's just bullshit. That's just fucking cheating, man. How in the hell do they expect a kid to fucking play this shit? Maybe they didn't expect a kid to play it.
Yeah.
How many years later he's still raging about it?
Oh, dude,
This is the root of all of his rage. This is why he yells and fucking bursts our eardrums.
Oh, that's not even it, man. Jungle Strike on the SNES. I think it was Jungle Strike, man. That game right there as well used to piss me off, dude.
Yeah.
I would try shooting at an enemy that was on the ground, like a little car bomb or whatever, and I would accidentally shoot the Pentagon or a monument or something, and then it would just screw me up. And Jungle Strike, which for a lot of people I know don't know, I would suggest googling it. It's a freaking amazing game. There were multiple different styles: Desert Strike, Jungle Strike. But like you had to destroy some buildings, like you could destroy a gas station, pick up fuel for your helicopter, like you would bring down a little like fucking crane or whatever the hell they're called, pick up the
like
fuel.
in real life.
Yeah, exactly, like in real life, so realistic. But yeah, I mean, it was just awesome. You had like different terrorists that you had to try to take out. You had to escort like the motorcade, things like that, and I absolutely love that game. But that game honestly made me rage so damn hard. Like I remember my dad had one of those floor model TVs that had like the record player and all this shit built into the top of it. And I remember throwing the controller and hitting the screen thinking that it was going to shatter. And it actually cracked my fucking controller because that screen was so thick and so hard. I was so mad that it broke my controller. Well, it cracked it. It didn't break it. I could still use it. But fuck, man. That's when it all started. That game still gives me PTSD to this day sometimes. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't see any over the head like bird's eye view helicopter game without Jungle Strike popping into my head.
I do remember that was back when my dad played the Sega with us quite a bit. That was like his go-to game. If you ever had downtime, he was playing those Jungle Strikes, Desert Strikes, stuff like that.
And like it's funny because now I see it, and like I actually went back and played one a little while back on the emulator, and it was like nothing. I'm like, holy hell. I get some of these games when we were a kid are difficult, and they still are difficult to this day. But this one was so easy. Like, was I an idiot when I was a kid? Like, what the hell was going on? But I did also like flying around and
comments.
So, I don't know if you saw me writing. I wrote down episode idea about raging, and I feel like Patrick can lead that episode as our.
It's just gonna be him.
Zero. Our patient zero is over.
We're taking the day off. It's just gonna be him on camera.
I'm not even naturally an angry individual, but
bullshit. I know, Bumpy, you touched on it with Sega Genesis. I played a shitload of Sonic 2. I really like Sonic and Knuckles because I liked playing as Knuckles because I liked being different. And Knuckles could fly. He could fall with style.
He could hover, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then after that, we got our N64. I loved playing Rainbow Six on that.
Oh,
And
Raven Shield, right?
no, I just played the original. It just literally was Rainbow Six.
Gotcha. Yeah,
And the
too.
first, I remember the first thing, there there was terrorists. They took over this office building, and you had to go in, infiltrate them as a SWAT team, and you could like set up your SWAT team however you wanted, pick what everybody had, and like I got hooked on that for some reason. I was at that time I was probably like what 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that, and fucking playing that and trying to set up a SWAT strike with as a fucking kid. And I just got hooked on that. I know we talked about it yesterday. The Battle Tanks game, Pat, where you could pick whatever little tank you wanted, and there's like special abilities out on the fields and shit. I always pick this little fucking tiny Brock-sized tank. There's my one per list.
You were doing so well.
There's no way I was getting through that. It didn't have rockets or missiles or anything. It was just bullets, but it was awesome. And then went from that to GameCube. Played sports games. Got my first Zelda game because I was the only one that actually played the GameCube. So they were like, "Oh, we'll get you this game." PlayStation 2. I didn't even. I got GameCube over the original PlayStation and the original Xbox as a kid because it was family friendly. Yeah, because that's what I turned out to be. Then I went 360, PS4, Xbox One. So I've gotten all of them too.
My question is, how did you get the GameCube over the original PlayStation and Xbox when it was the original PlayStation versus the Nintendo 64?
I thought it was. I forgot when it came out.
Oh, the GameCube was out with the PS2 and the original Xbox. The original Xbox came out with PS2 range. Yeah.
So I did get N64, and then I got GameCube, and then I won a PS2.
Nice.
That's the only reason I got that. And then we got 360. I got a 360, and then I bought my PS4. We're not going to get into the reason I don't have that anymore. And then I have my Xbox One, which was a Christmas present because somebody wanted to buy my love. Didn't work.
Sorry.
There, no, it was. That's really the reason I got into gaming. It was a getaway for me growing up. So, like, I always, even if it's not a story-driven game, I always still get lost in video games, and that's my favorite part about gaming is you just get lost in another world all the time. Same with movies and books.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead because I might be a couple minutes, but you can go ahead.
I was going to say I haven't really, at least nowadays, and I don't know what's changed. If it's me, if it's the gaming community or games that are coming out now, I haven't really found a game. I think the last one was Skyrim, where I actually sat down, no recordings, no nothing, just sat down and played it straight, and was like, wow, I'm gonna get lost in this game. Like I'm going to RP the shit out of it. I'm gonna get completely in depth with it. I haven't had a game like that in a couple years, and it's kind of disheartening because I mean, you get Call of Duty and you're like, I know what this is. I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna play multiplayer with my buddies. I'm just, going through the motion in a sense. Destiny was kind of a good like getaway for me in a sense, but after you beat that game, the story's done, over with. There's nothing else. Where compared to Skyrim, where you're always in it, you're always making your own story.
I completely agree with you. I think since most of the games that we end up playing are multiplayer because we like to play with our friends and everything, like that's our time to hang out. We're all older and we can't really go hang out all the time like we used to. Like,
Right.
Well, multiplayer games, us playing Fortnite or Apex or something, that's the way we can hang out anymore. And it is a little bit harder to get lost in a game like that, but I guess we kind of choose to do that because we can hang out with the people that we like to hang out with and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. To touch on both of those really quick, the last game that I really got lost into, I think, was The Last of Us. just the beginning of the story and everything was so like trash.
Oh shit.
It was like, oh my god, did they really just fucking do this in the game?
Hmm.
Because you saw the previews and everything, and I don't really want to give it away. I know it's several years, it's fucking 7, 8 years old now because it came out on the PlayStation 3 before the PS4 launched. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's been
we
out for
are
quite a
way
while.
past being able to save spoilers.
So
No.
you know at the all right, so at the beginning, like you're going through and everything, you're playing as a little girl, and shit starts going off, and you're walking around the house trying to find your dad, and then he shows up, and you got to get through the town and everything. You're getting chased by the infected, uh, and then you're going down this hill, and then you get fucking shot. Well, your kid gets shot, and yeah, like it is such a fucking crazy thing to see that a girl in the video game is like she's what 12, 13 maybe in the game.
If
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Like she's really young and she gets shot and killed. But we saw these previews where he was with Ellie, and everybody's thinking, all right, that's his daughter, yada yada yada. And then boom, this happens in the beginning, and you're like, holy fucking shit. And then you play through the end, and you're doing all these different things. Some of it's kind of like a fetch quest style, and it was a linear title. It wasn't open world or anything, but still the way that they told the story and the way you did everything just made me get so sunken into it to where I played through it multiple times. That's one of the few games I can actually say I've played through more than once on different consoles, because it came out for PS3. I rented it on Redbox and I beat it in 2 days, and then I bought it when it came out on PS4, and I played through it and beat it a couple times. And I just still I'm still wanting to go back and play it again because I just love that game so much. And when you get to the end of it, when you find out that these people wanted Ellie so that they could, I believe that was her name, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. They wanted her because she was like immune to the infection, and they wanted to basically kill her and study whatever to create a vaccine for it. And you basically go off and like destroy everybody around you to protect her, and then you take off. So I'm so excited for The Last of Us Part 2 because of that, to see where everything went and see exactly what happens. And I'm hoping that it's as in depth and as gripping as the first one, because I don't see too many ways that they could really fuck with your head more than the opening scene or the very end.
They might surprise you. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I am absolutely sure they will. But
The last game I actually got lost in, and I've been trying to figure this out since Bumpy mentioned it. I think it was Arkham City.
see, I haven't played it yet. I have it. I haven't touched it. I got such a backlog that's on my backlog to do. But
Because I did get lost in Arkham Asylum, and then they're like, here's Arkham City. It's the entire fucking city of Gotham, and not just this little asylum that you can crawl through fucking vents in. I'm like, okay, and you get to play the best superhero of all time. Like, there's nothing better than that, and you're fighting all these villains that us three, that being a little bit older, grew up watching on a weekly basis. So that was what got me, like, instantly. I'm just into that zone again. I was like a fucking 5-year-old watching Saturday morning cartoons.
yeah, and like just really quick, not to really backtrack too much, but how you were talking about sitting around playing with friends and everything, playing online. That was one of the things that I really loved when like the Nintendo 64 came up. Even the Super Nintendo, when you could play with some people like Mario Kart and things like that. When split screen really started coming up. But just sitting around with people, I remember me and my friends for hours, and I mean we'd be up for a day and a half, 36 hours or more, playing Nintendo 64, playing GoldenEye, playing Perfect Dark, playing Diddy Kong Racing, the Mario Kart S style on there, playing Mario Kart, playing Pokemon Stadium, playing the battle games on there, playing Mario Party, like all these different games. I mean, there was just so much to it that it really kind of brought up, and it's so nostalgic. And I think that's why I love playing with people so much as well, because it kind of takes me back to that point. But it's just fun to hang out and do shit like that, kick back, relax. Even when I'm fucking raging, like I'm still overall relaxed, and I guess to an extent. I know Suicide would argue with that.
Unless I'm beating you in Madden.
Not happening.
It's happened multiple times.
Oh, you're both pretty. Let it go.
But yeah, dude, like I like sometimes like I'll see even when we mentioned GoldenEye, it takes me back to like first, second grade, sitting in my buddy's basement, crashing at his place on a weekend and fucking just gaming the entire night.
If you play Odd Job, you're a bitch.
Oh, I fucking didn't. I was always Jaws, dude. Let's be real.
Saying anybody.
I was in fucking I was a fucking 6, 7-year-old. I'm playing Jaws because Jaws is my favorite movie of all time.
So I'm just saying, don't be surprised if the camera picks up something getting thrown at me or stabbed, because Suicide is sitting directly to my
Job's a bitch.
And
It's
I
gonna
said, if
be
you
a
play this
fedora.
Odd Job, you're a bitch. And now she's holding a pair of scissors and staring at me. So this might be my last episode. It was fun while it lasted.
You're gonna see a hat just fly through the air like Odd Job and hit him in the side of the head.
Yeah. Or what was it? Oh, Austin Powers with the shoe, right? Wasn't it the shoe?
Yep.
It might be that too.
All right.
But yeah, I'm gonna die, guys. I'm gonna die.
So let's wrap this up so he doesn't get killed on this video and
Demonetized.
So like this episode we talked about the Switch Lite. We had all that new info with what games can be played. We had the Overwatch Summer Games starting today, going to August 5th. We talked a bit about COD, and then we talked about kind of when we started getting into video games and a little bit about why. Did you guys have anything else to add to that kind of stuff? A little like last send off or why we got into gaming, Bumpy?
I love Lamp.
Exactly.
Every week. For me, I mean, I just gotta say, like, I've played every console, even the Sega Saturn and all these other things, and you know, like even the Atari, the original Atari that my dad had, playing all those games, and I just love the evolution of gaming and where we started at, like even with the original Pong box, all the way up to where we are now and what we're seeing coming, and I just think that's a big part of it for me as well because of seeing that growth. Like I remember being a kid and seeing, all right, this is what my dad had. This is what my dad played when he was younger. This is what I have now. That while now it doesn't seem like it's such a great improvement or a vast improvement over those 15 years or so, like where we've gotten to now is such a huge change in a short amount of time. It's phenomenal. But even as a kid, I appreciated that, you know, and I absolutely love seeing that change going on. So I don't know. I can't help but just to love it, you know. And like you said, it is a getaway. You know, I come home from work if I've had a shitty day and I want to sit down and I want to play Call of Duty and take out frustrations and just fucking mow people down. I get on Mortal Kombat and just start fighting people and shit. I get on Watch Dogs, Grand Theft Auto, Skyrim, and just get lost in the world and, you know, just enjoy something else. And that's what people need. You know, there's so much shit that goes on that gaming can help your mental health. You know, it's not just about physical health. Mental health is a big deal, and gaming can help you release all of that shit. And to me, it's an important aspect of my life because it does help me. Even when I am raging, as I stated, even when I am going absolutely
every fucking
shit,
time.
Yes, every time. Because I swear I die because of lag. No other fucking reason. I die because of lag. Okay. But yeah, so I mean that's just my final 2 cents. Because yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's just a big getaway, and it definitely helps me clear my head. And
Raven F and I are leaving tomorrow to go to a music festival. We're gonna have a lot of fun. On the way there, I'm literally bringing my notebook, so we're gonna write down ideas for future episodes. I know Raven F, I think, actually just came up with an idea right before we started recording for the next episode. Do we want to give him that? Because usually we just kind of we'll talk about what we are going to talk about next week. And
I think you know.
We should.
Okay, bye.
I was just going to say, Bumpy touched on it for a brief second about what we're going to talk about. Go ahead, Raven F. You came up with the idea.
So, you know, discussing Pokemon and with the new Sun and Moon coming out, and there's quite a bit of details about that Bumpy wants to touch on, especially.
You wouldn't shut the fuck up about it last night.
Because there is so much to Pokemon, like especially the newer titles. I was like, why don't we just dedicate one episode to the evolution of Pokemon? The games, the card game, whatever. Start at the beginning with, the big brick Game Boy and then the Game Boy Slim and the Game Boy Color and everything, and working our way up to now. Just kind of touch on each generation and what we did with them, what they meant, and then get to where we are now with it. Even if we just talk about the games and not the cards, I mean, we could easily spend over an hour. I mean, hell, it's already been, what are we going on now? Almost 50 minutes, if not more, for this
55
episode.
minutes.
Yeah, 55 minutes. It doesn't even feel like it. Like, I feel like we've only been recording for about a half an hour because we are getting lost in the conversation. So I feel like next week it might end up being a unintentionally long episode like it was when we talked about E3 and everything. But there's just so much to it. I would love to talk about it. I think Bumpy's a bit bigger of a Pokemon fan than me. So
just a little bit. Just so you guys know, I will be 100% into when we're talking about red, blue, gold, and silver, and then skipping all the way to Pokemon Go, because I didn't get those other games.
What do you say about that, Bumpy?
It's gonna play my violin. It's the world's smallest violin, but it's this big in my arm.
I still watch the movies and I still love Pokemon. It's just wasn't able to get the games. I didn't have a job in high school. I played 2 sports.
Really quick, before we take off, and I'll kind of bring this up on next week's episode, does anybody remember like the first Pokemon cards that came out that were like the round Pokeball shaped cards that were before you could like battle and everything with them? Oh my god, we had them and we got in trouble for them all the time in school when I was a kid because that was before you started being able to do the battle.
Those are called Pogs, and they weren't Pokemon cards.
No,
dude, I miss
they
Pogs.
were. That's the thing too. We could dedicate an episode to 90s gaming.
We're
Yeah,
just,
really.
next week we're going to talk about everything Pokemon, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so
We might hit like 5 minutes of what's going on in gaming, but next week let's get into Pokemon next week. Talk about the fucking gold thing, fucking 24 karat gold cards that came out for McDonald's. But
Burger King.
I thought it was McDonald's, was it?
It was Burger King.
Yeah, it's like the Bernstein Bears being Bernstein Bears and shit. Jesus Christ, get your facts right.
So next week, definitely pay attention if you're a Pokemon fan, which everybody is. Let's be real. We will talk about everything Pokemon. We'll talk about games, trading cards, everything, because I feel like Bumpy will not mind that episode going over a little bit. But right now, I can tell he doesn't give a fuck what we're talking about, and that's why I'm kind of dragging this out a little bit longer, because he only wants to play Lucio Ball right now. He does not give a shit.
Invested in this?
One damn thing. He's just sitting there.
I
Right
ramble too much, so I'm just letting you guys do the thing, man. And
Right-
first
right
of all,
now,
McDonald's, who do you think you are?
Right now, he's sitting there like, I want to play Lucio Ball right now.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm extremely tired, but I'm trucking through this episode, so we're wrapping it up.
So, thanks anybody who listened to this. We are on YouTube if you're listening on somewhere else. YouTube, Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. Spotify and Stitcher, Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. SoundCloud, Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're on Facebook, Middle of Nowhere Entertainment. What was the Twitch? MON Entertainment?
Yeah, MON Entertainment.
So go follow that on Twitch along with all 3 of us. I don't know.
And then MONE podcast for Instagram, which we need to utilize more.
I don't know which way this is going to end up putting people, so I'm just pointing everywhere. But go ahead and follow everybody on Twitch. We really do appreciate it. We do appreciate any of the feedback that we've gotten on our YouTube videos or on the Facebook page. We really want to try to get this community built a little bit stronger. And next week we'll be back talking about Pokemon, and Thursday, Crimson Mask, we'll talk about wrestling, and Friday, Off Tackle, we'll talk about football. So we got a lot going on. We got a lot more in the works. too. So make sure you guys hit that follow button, that subscribe button on YouTube, and the like us on Facebook. I'm Odin Spirit 43.
I'm Raven F.
Now, Bumpy Rug.
Thanks, guys, for stopping out. Bye.
Bye.